things of note here. There's a lot of PVC plastic right there at my feet. One is a large 2-inch ball valve, which I put in so I haven't done it many times. It wasn't necessary, but when necessary, I can drain the water storage tank. We have a 12,000 gallon ferro concrete water storage tank, and if I ever want to drain it, occasionally, like twice in 10 years, I've drained it to get any fine silt out of it, and very little comes. When I had wells in Arizona, good God, every year it would calcify and stuff like that. This water comes from about 140 feet down through volcanic strata. Very, very little sediment. But anyway, I put this in so that you could drain the tank if you ever wanted to repair or whatever. Behind me is one of there are 5 stations, 5 phases. This part of the farm has irrigation, drip irrigation through all areas, and 5 different stations. This is a filter and an anti-siphoning device. So it won't siphon that device. This is a filter, and there's a valve here. And so this is the topmost phase. It would be from the tank down. And then there's 4 more of these. There's 5 of these phases or stations. In the forefront there is the water storage tank itself. It goes down below the grade about 18 or 20 feet down, and it's 6 inches of ferro concrete forged, reinforced steel. And I chose it as the way to hold water. Didn't really want to use plastic. A lot of people use plastic tanks. I like the idea of concrete and steel. It's cool. It's below, well, there's a little bit of it, a couple feet above the ground, but most of it's in the ground, so it stays very, very cool. And the whole system here is gravity fed. The pump house down by the main house, the big house, that's where the actual well is. And then we pump water uphill about 300 feet inclination-wise uphill, which is no small feat. The pump itself is 5 horsepower, and then it's got check valves along the way. So it's pumped up via electricity. But once it gets into the tank, everything on the farm is gravity fed. So if there's an outage of power, which there is, we always have, if a tank's full, 12,000 gallons of water on hand for potable water or whatever resource we want to use. We're in the process of having this area, not just me. I'm participating in a irrigation project where they're bringing in water from a couple rivers far up in the mountains, and they're bringing it in under gravity fed, and it's going to go to the local farmers. It's a wonderful thing. We'll participate in that also. And then there's also municipal water here on this farm, which comes from the city or the town, the pueblo of Rio Sereno. So we really have water redundancy, 3 different sources. The source that's most, well, there's also God, the rain, and that's probably the best water in the world. But the second best water is coming up out of our own well that's 140 foot deep. We can walk up to that tank and take a look at it and get an idea of the perspective of it, because here it looks sort of small, but when you actually, if we were to pull off the cap and look down to it, it's pretty cavernous. I mean, it's deep and dark and cool.